And you're very welcome back to Season 2, Episode number 1 of our Ladies Gaelic Football Podcast here on FinalWhistle.ie. Two of us have returned from last year's show. It's myself and Joanne Doonan from Fermanagh. And delighted to welcome Emma Kelly on board, joining us this year. Of course, Emma, a former All-Ireland winner, is both a player and a manager with Antrim, and has dabbled into refereeing along with her coaching. Emma, delighted to welcome you onto our podcast.
Thanks for asking me to get on board. So hopefully it'll be a good season.
Of course, Emma filling the boots of Claire Owens, who has left us this year. Claire has retired from Leitrim this year, and we wish Claire all the very best for what the future has in store for her. And I suppose, Joanne, it was disheartening when we lost Claire. I suppose we were buzzing coming back into the new year. Of course, we had the WhatsApp group ready in around December time, kind of going, we look forward now to the new year, but look really excited now to have Emma on board, and it'll be a Helter Skelter podcast for the next couple of months in between championship coming up. We've the league and all that kind of stuff, and Joanne's, of course, will have a bit of time off as well as she gets married in May, I believe, Joanne?
Yes, May, yeah. Yes, I don't know why I returned to county football, but yes, here we are.
I think every player kind of says that if you're involved in an inter-county setup, you don't kind of get married around the time of league or championship or whatever, and slap bang in the middle of May could be
slap bang in the middle,
interesting
nearly
one.
To make sure that we didn't go back out to county, and me and my partner James both went back out to county. So when he went out, I was just like, oh well, frig it, if he's going out I may as well go out. So look at, here we are, slap bang in the middle of it. So no, look at here, I said I'd help in whatever capacity I could, and they understood that I might be missing some of the Ulster Championship, but that's what happens. Maybe 15 years in the senior setup. I think I'm allowed 1 year, maybe part-time.
Exactly. Definitely the phone won't be ringing about a week after, just going, hey, you coming back in now? We've a first round intermediate championship game, or whatever the case may be, depending on where the dates are falling in around that time. But it's all about the league for now. It's all about what's happening for the moment. And we had a busy weekend, of course, Divisions 1, 2, and 3 kicking off for the first time. Obviously, Division 4 had started the week before, so we've around 2, I suppose, to digest in that regards. Division 1 will start. The first game of the weekend was on the Saturday, and that, of course, had the All-Ireland winners, Dublin, at home to the defending league champions in Kerry. Strong performance from Kerry in the finish. Did well, very, very tough conditions in Park Jisk in Clondalkin for both teams. I'd say it was very, very hard on the legs. And when you're coming into pre-season, Joanne, is it kind of difficult when, say, you're training on grass pitches when it's heavy rain, and we've had quite a lot of rain over the winter as well, that it just makes it really, really tiring on the legs?
100%. Like, I think, it's that pre-season slog that is really a slog whenever the pitches are heavy, and like you said, the legs are getting pulled from under you. But again, because of the weather, I don't know about other counties, but some, you have the resort to going to 3G, and then it's that kind of, I suppose, mixture of training on the different surfaces, going from 3G to then playing a match on the like normal pitches, and you're just kind of getting used to that slog again. And it's a tough time, and obviously first game back, you're going to be that kind of feeling that wee bit rusty and not fully where you want to be. But yeah, I think the Kerry Dublin game definitely had their work cut out for them in that weather, and it probably didn't highlight maybe even the new rules and probably the level that they could have played there whenever they were playing in such tough conditions, really.
I know Dublin were a little bit experimental in their selection for this game. There was a few new faces and players getting the chance to impress. I suppose, look, that's kind of what the league is about, just giving players the chance to get game time. I think they only had 3 players start that featured in the All-Ireland final last year. But despite being a little bit under strength, Emma, they still put it up to Kerry, who were pretty much playing with a full card.
See, Dublin always would have a development squad. So the way I'd look at it is, the league is the key time to be giving all those young girls a chance to try and push on. And again, it's unlimited subs for until you get to this final stage. So like the caliber of player in Dublin club football is amazing. So the likes of Kilmacuds, there's girls playing their team that we probably have never heard of, that at least now they're getting chances, and the same with the other clubs. So we all know Dublin can put out any team and they're still going to put it up. And yeah, Kerry again had a lot of their regulars, as you would say, out. But I'd say some of those girls maybe haven't had a break yet because of college football going with their age group as well. So that could be another reason why Dublin maybe rested some of their regulars to try and give them a break because of college football.
But it was great to see the likes of someone like Jodie Egan, who got a fair share of the Dublin scores. I know, even I spoke to her the week before, the week leading into the league getting underway for Division 1, like Hannah Tyrrell, like massive loss for them coming into a new year. Like, I suppose Hannah's been such a stalwart, and when you're losing a forward of her nature, like, you want, and the next type of a generation of player to come in and snap up that jersey. And I thought Jodie Egan did very well. And I suppose from the forwards perspective, Joanne, like, you do want someone that will put their hand up, and she certainly answered the question on Saturday.
Yeah, fantastic performance from Egan. She was brilliant to watch in spells, and I think it's that I know personally, playing forward, I think it's a lovely role to play, because in my head I'm kind of thinking I know where I'm going before the defender knows where they're going, so you're always trying to think that you're one step ahead. And I think she showed that. Like, she just showed real hunger to get on the ball and real aggression to kind of really step up and show that she is deserving of a place. And maybe that's, again, like Emma mentioned, that it's Dublin's time to kind of, I suppose, breed new leaders, like, and if you have the likes of her stepping up and is still so young, you can only expect other ones to follow suit. So no, I have to say she really did step up, especially without a lot of leaders there from previous years.
You look at Kerry playing with, a strong card of very good forwards. I know it was a very tough day out with the conditions, but when you have the likes of, Sheaf Roche, Jaden Lucy, who bagged the first goal, the two of them, combining for it, and then you have the likes of Rachel Dwyer, who she can play inside, and the full forward line was named at 12, but looked very, very strong and get in there. Daniel O'Leary as well. Like, Kerry have a lot of options, and even Connor got a great point toward the end of the game as well. I think from their perspective, I think there's a lot of disappointment coming from that defeat to Meath in the semi-final last year. I think they thought they should have gone to the All-Ireland final last year, of course, league winners, and then winning the Munster and falling so short as well. But I think, Joanne, it's a good confidence boost for them to get a very strong result, albeit, again, in very, very tough conditions.
100%. Like, it does. Like, I always feel like, you try and talk about, like, success and, breeding good cultures and getting the support behind you, but that comes from winning, realistically. And you get more confidence the more you win, and you learn a lot quicker from what you can still improve on previously. But I feel like you said that hurt from last year. They've I suppose, felt so close yet so far. Again, it's a long way back, and the fact that a lot of them girls have stayed on shows that they're hungry and they're ready for it again this year. Obviously, it's like anything, you're not too worried about the first round of the league, really. You don't want to be, I suppose, peaking too soon, but look at, if that team stays together and stays fit and everybody stays available for selection, it'll be a mighty force to be reckoned with come championship. And I suppose with any team, they're probably trialing out these new rules with the expectation that some of them might stay on. So this might be the only opportunity to practice them and see how you can utilize them better for that championship, that it might just be a point in it, and who's going to use them better.
Yeah, and I know it was it was fairly nip and tuck opening half. I know Kerry went in leading by 3 at the break, won 6 to 6 points, and kind of went through the gears in the second half, and a great goal by Mary O'Connell to get the second one for Kerry, well dispatched to the back of the net. She's been very good in midfield, I suppose, winning the ball, winning the dirty ball, the breaking ball, and then being able to go forward. And I suppose, Emma, with the way the game is moving around, we'll have plenty of discussions over the new rules for the remainder of the league as well, and see how they've developed. But I suppose with the way the game is modernising, those key influential big midfielders and big ball carriers are what a lot of teams are going to thrive off as well.
Yeah, especially the leaving the three up top. I think if they leave Shifra and Danielle up there, they have the vision and the movement to try and, as Joanne says, you're in control of the defender. If you know where you want the ball to go and you think that you have those strong runners that can give you a really good foot kick pass into you, then you're 100% on. So teams are going to then start going, right, are we going to leave a sweeper back because Shifra and Danielle's there, meaning then you have an extra person then to come on to it. So all the tactical play is going to be coming in, and it's going to be a battle of mind games. Everybody talks about Jim McGuinness and Donegal. So it's going to be all these people now going, how can I beat this with our three? Are we going to do triangles up top? Who's going to move where? Is it going to be a crossfield pass? Is it going to be something at the top? Or now we're going to have Mary O'Connell come and bursting on the shoulder. So it's going to be really exciting to see now what's happening. And you've seen with Kerry, I think the weather kind of hindered it a bit because it was harder on the legs to try and keep going, and the wind and rain and everything else didn't really help. But it's looking really good that people are now starting. And that could be, as Joanne said, a reason why that Kerry are back, because they're going, well, if we can get all our regulars into the routine of what's our strengths and weaknesses in these new tactics, then they can kind of have like a wee routine set up before it gets anywhere near championship. But then you don't want people knowing that too early either. So we'll see.
It's all going to be mind games throughout the league, and see what way tactics and everything materializes and develops. But another team that are well and truly back when it comes to Division 1 are Galway. They were coming up from Division 2, very, very tough game to come up when they're playing against the Meath team, of course, coming off losing, should I say, the All-Ireland final last year. Very, very strong team. I know Meath were missing a couple of key regular faces that, they'll be hoping to get back come the championship season, but all credit to Galway, for their 16 points to 8 win in the end. Kate Slevin with 7 points, including a remarkable 2-pointer, one of a few that was scored over the weekend. And I think, Joanne, those 2-pointers are going to be something that every forward across the country is going to want to kick throughout this league campaign.
Yeah, it's a very interesting one. It's an impressive thing. I definitely believe. I always argue this with some of the lads that the size 5 ball travels further, so it can be tougher with the size 4. But I definitely think, look, if the wind's on the back, a lot of more teams will see it. But there is them select few girls that are well able to do it. I know we seen it last year. Was it Shifra? She scored one last year. Or am I wrong on that? I can't remember who. It's definitely someone from Kerry. I remember got it in a game. Obviously, it didn't count as it, but I remember thinking, there is girls that are capable of doing it. But again, as that forward, there's nothing worse than a ball dropping short. So I think you have to be very sure if you're going for it. You want to make sure you're going to at least put it dead. But yeah, I definitely think it'll be interesting. And look at those skilled players deserve to get recognised as well. Why not have a 2-point option for them? But yeah, it could make a game very interesting. Like if again comes the tactics, if you have the win the second half and things like that, it can be playing very interesting football going forward.
Have you tried a few 2-pointers in training?
The owl, I heard that if it bounces over and nobody touches it, it counts. So that's what I'll be maybe hoping for.
You'll be hoping for a 3G pitch then.
yeah, exactly.
But we will be talking about your scoring exploits when we hit to around the corner to Division 3. But Galway looked very strong, had the lead at the break, kicked into gear again in the second half, and just kind of went through the motions and just didn't look, Emma, like a team that obviously they're still playing at a senior standard when it came to championship, but just didn't look like a team that coming up from Division 2 struggled in any aspect of the game.
No, definitely not. But if you look at the Kilcairn Clonbyrne players, was it Niamh DeVilly got player of the match in the final against Moneyglass, and from what you've seen, she had another outstanding game as well as a couple of the other girls. So you're just going, them club players just stepped in and went, right, well, we're here, we'll just go play. And they're enjoying it. And Kate Slevin, again, has her experience and just even the knack of going for the 2-pointer. You're just going, their confidence is just flowing through them. And like, to beat Meath in their first game up in Division 1, it's a statement win. And yes, Meath were missing people, but at the same time, it's still Meath. So that's the same as Kerry coming up and saying, oh, well, the Dublin game, it's only Dublin, or Dublin saying it's only Kerry. Them teams are there, and they're there for a fear factor. So Galway will be bursting with confidence now getting into this week after getting that result against Meath. And it wasn't just a 1-point win or a 2-point win. It was a good win.
I don't think Meath are going to have any alarm bells either. Look, it is the first round of the league. You're shaking off cobwebs as well, having not played a competitive game and for their perspective since that All-Ireland final, and things have changed, tactics have changed, new manager coming in as well. So it is going to be those little few things, Emma, that are going to kind of get teams kind of used to it. Again, the rules are going to come into it as well, but Meath definitely have the players that for the remainder of this league campaign, they can kick on, they can get results, and they can be challenging to try and make a league final out of it as well.
Yeah, definitely. Wayne Freeman's in there this year after being assistant to Shane the last year. So he'll not be worrying. As we say, the first game is just about getting out and maybe seeing a couple of new girls and waiting to get a few more girls back. But they'll definitely not be panicking. It seems to be a lot of draws over the weekend as well. So it gives a lot of teams chances now of catching up.
One of which was the game between Cork and Kildare. A lot of people have kind of tipped these two to be maybe in doubt of dropping out of Division 1 this year, but they both looked very, very strong in their own aspects of the game. I know Cork had that last minute score the late score, should I say, to keep them in it and to get them the share of the spoils in it. But I think they can take a lot from it. Kildare can take a lot from it. But looking at it, Joanne, it was very Mickey Mikey between the two teams. It was very, very hard to kind of separate. Kildare had their purple patches. Cork looked very, very strong as well.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think anyone was ever too certain at any point in the game that they had it, and I think this was probably similar to last year. Maybe Kildare was tipped that they're might be the favourites to, I suppose, be relegated, and they fairly proved us wrong, even in the championship, beating Armagh. There's things like that I think it kind of burns that wee fire in your belly when you hear all those things and the odds are against you. And again, sometimes it's lovely being the underdog, that there's no expectations on you and you end up playing nicer football because you're enjoying it that wee bit more. It's less pressure on you. But yeah, like you said, I do think that the two teams have been rebuilding over the last few years. I know Kildare are really building on each year, but Cork, I think, have kind of, they've lost a few of their, I suppose, stalwarts, and they have been rebuilding over the last few years. But again, for a young team, I still think they're a force to be reckoned with. A draw is probably a good result for both of them there. Like Emma said, it could be the difference. Like that 1-point draw for the draw could be the difference in staying up.
Yeah, like Kildare did start, they did start well, and then Melissa Duggan gets the ball into the back of net from Cork, and momentum can change in an instance, and I suppose you always have to go for every ball and try and get every opportunity. And Aoife Murnane gets it right in injury time. Cork maybe make a little bit of an error at the back, and Kildare managed to turn it over, and she puts it straight into the back of the net, and they're 1-5 to 1-3 ahead going into half time. So from mentality going into the dressing room, Emma, like, does that really change a team talk if you can grab maybe a late goal or a couple of late points just to swing the momentum in your favour going into the halftime break?
Yeah, obviously it's a sucker punch to the team that concedes it, and you're trying to get it into their heads. Look, the game's not over. It was a couple of mistakes. Don't worry. But I would always be saying to myself, you have still 30 minutes to play. The game's not winning the first half. Other things can happen. Factors can change. Things can change really, really quickly on the pitch. So for a team to score that amount of scores within a couple of minutes, I'm just going, well, there's no reason why you can't do it as well. So it's get the heads up, reset and go out. So like whenever I was looking at the scores, I was kind of following it and was like, geez, Kildare's doing rightly here. And then the next thing I looked and it was just like, geez, Cork's pulled it back here. And then it was following it and I was just going, this seems to be a really dogged game. But that's what you always expect from Kildare and Cork. Especially over the years, they've both been brilliant at underage, and they're starting to filter them through. Like there's a transition period, but a lot of those girls have played together at under 18, 19, 20 at college, so they're getting used to each other. And Kildare with the new management as well will probably be buzzing to get that 1 point on the board to try and settle themselves going into the next round, and Cork as well with all the transition that they're going through.
Yeah, I know that next quarter, say the third quarter, Cork went through. They got a couple of scores. The likes of Emma Cleary, Leah Hallinan, and Katie Quirk all getting scores, and then I suppose you're getting into big moments in the game, and both Quiva Richmond and Rachel Fennon both making some fantastic saves in the respective goals, and then just an absolute moment of brilliance from Murnane again. Just the way she took it, no fear, go straight through and get a goal. And Kildare are back in the driving seat again. They're back to 3 points, but I suppose Cork just showed that never say die attitude. And Abigail Ring and then Katie Quirk managed to square it up. Alana Priesman, then you're thinking, have Kildare managed to do it? Have they pulled it out of the fire? But Katie Quirk again, just ice in the veins. I know, Joanne, we spoke about her influence last year. She's just a fantastic forward for Cork, and definitely someone that they're going to be looking at for the remainder of the league and going into championship as well to get those scores.
Oh, she's just class. Like, who more do you want on the ball in those day minutes? Like, and I think that again, whether it's tactical or not, or whether she was adamant to get on that ball in that last few seconds of the game, it's one of those things where I'd be saying as a manager, get the shooters on the ball, and she certainly stood up for that to see like that draw. But like you said, what a gripping game, like going end to end, and it was a matter of, I suppose, testing that resilience and composure, and I think you're going to see a lot of that in this game now. And again, I know we've mentioned the new rules a lot, but I do think it's a lot faster. You don't have the time to I suppose spread the message to try and compose everybody down with the new tap and go and things like that. It's not as you can't reset it as quickly as that. So the likes of them girls that have that wee bit more experience, and I suppose you probably will highlight the more, I suppose, football minded players over the athletes with these new rules. And it just shows through. Like, she is phenomenal. She's definitely the player that has that football brain as well as the football in the ability anyway. 4
minutes into injury time, just not a bother. Not an absolute bother, just calmness personified. Let's talk about the last game in Division 1 for the weekend, and for the Ulster faithful, a lot of eyebrows maybe raised coming out of this one. Armagh losing, should I say, 2-14 to 8 points to Waterford. Very, very statement result. A lot of people are tipping Waterford to be at the top end of the table. Of course, well, they are after the first round. They're sitting nice and pretty at the top of the table, but they looked very, very strong. And I know they were 10 points better off when the sides met in 2025. They looked very strong. I know Armagh were missing the likes of Caroline O'Hanlon, Niamh Henderson, Niamh Reel, the Mackins, and the Colemans. They were missing a lot of key bodies, Emma, but Waterford just looked phenomenal from start to finish.
Yeah, Waterford last year came strong and came good at the end, but you always expected in Armagh and their own home patch for them to get the win, because even looking at the team that Greg put out, I still they're missing a few in the 15, but it's still a really good 15. Like Lara Marsden, Diarmuid Marsden's daughter, unless I'm confused with that one, but she's a class player. And like Kate Toe, Clodagh McCambridge, you're still going, Armagh were very strong, but Waterford seemed to just have that bite between their teeth and just went at it and did no fear, travelling to Armagh, went just toe-to-toe with them and said, you know what, we're going to go home here with 3 points, and didn't do it with a lot to spare. like, again, you were just keeping an eye on it and you were like, Armagh's not getting closer. They're pulling away. And you're just going very early. And yes, Armagh were missing a lot of players, but Waterford will be buzzing with that result. And the confidence will be flowing out of them now, going on, and they'll just be saying, we just need to keep tipping on and improving as we go. But as we said, Waterford have been unreal the past few games last year and have been pushing on, and it's great to see that they've continued it into this year.
I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better start. Like, it's a fair spin from Waterford all the way up to play Armagh, and to get a goal inside 6 minutes. Chloe Fennell, I suppose, opportunistic as ever. I suppose that's what you want, just someone that will go for the ball and try and hit it into the back of the net, and kind of gives them that platform. You go in, 1-5 to 3 points up at half time, and I know, Armagh have got a strong history and you're playing them away, but Joanne, going in at half time when you've got that little bit of a lead, when you're the travelling team as well, must just give a team big confidence going into the second half.
Oh, 100%. Again, I do talk a lot about the psychological kind of side of them things, but traveling teams, you're always on the back foot. Like, you're always a bit of an underdog traveling someone else, especially that distance. But yeah, it must have been a massive boost for Waterford coming in at halftime to Armagh. And probably that, look at, if I was coming up against Armagh and seeing that they were missing a lot of their main players, I'd be even more reason to be like, we need to seal this game and make sure that we don't lose it, and to be going home, travelling back down to Waterford with the 2 points. But I think, like, what you see from Waterford, like the range of scores they have, like O'Neill, Fennell, like Hogan, like they could have, I think that's the beauty of them. There's so many threats that, once you take out a few main players, it can be detrimental to stopping Waterford. And I do think they've put a real marker down for the rest of Division 1 to really be like, they're not messing around this year.
Yeah, Anya O'Neill looked very sharp with her 5 points. And then you've, Kellyanne Hogan coming into the setup, and she's been, such an inspirational player for Waterford over, the last couple of years. And, they did, start the second half fairly well. Then Armagh hit a purple patch. It looked like, we're going to hit the purple patch and things are going to come into it. And then just Waterford just hit it again, back into a 6-point lead. Kellyanne Hogan doing what Kellyanne Hogan does best. She's just an absolute, sharpshooter when it comes to this. And then, they get their second goal, Trasina Gruntig's goal, and that just kind of settles them a bit more and on the way to a 12-point win. From the Armagh perspective, Emma, I mentioned, talking earlier with a couple of other teams like Meath, I don't think there will be alarm bells, but I think Armagh will be looking for, a serious response now to turn things around in the coming week.
Yeah, if you know Greg, you'll know he'll be disappointed with that result. And they were missing a lot of experienced girls, but look, as you say, you have to get the points on the board, but they'll be resetting, they'll be having a look at it, and they'll probably be looking at getting some of those girls back on the pitch now this week, because, as we said, a point is in the draws and some of the other games is probably a good thing then for the teams that have lost, because it means they're not 2 points behind everybody else, they're just the one. So Greg won't be panicking, because we all know the calibre of players Armagh have, and they could easily go out next week and hammer whoever they're playing, and you're just going, right, well, that's behind us. But as I said, it's all about the building factor and getting kind of in the routine of what you're doing. So it could be just maybe let's change the tactics that didn't suit us, or like, right, they have Carling O'Hanlon's in around the middle of the pitch. She could be catching some of the marks from just the kickouts, and then it's setting them off straight away. So one player out of those 6-7 that they were missing could have been the change there, and Greg won't be panicking and Armagh won't be panicking. You would still fancy seeing them in possibly the final or the top 4 anyway. I wouldn't be panicking about them being relegation or anything like that. Like,
No. We'll just take a look at the league table after the opening round. Waterford sitting top on 3 points. Galway in second with the same, and Kerry in third, all on 3 points. Just the points difference separating those three sides going into round 2. Cork in fourth, and Kildare in 5th, both on a point each. Dublin in 6th with no points on the board. Same with Meath and Armagh, who make up 7th and 8th respectively in the tables. This weekend, Cork will host Galway at 2 o'clock on February the 1st, alongside Kildare hosting Armagh at the same time. Meath to take on Dublin, a rematch, of course, from the senior All-Ireland final from last year, is on the bank holiday Monday at 2 o'clock. And then later on is the all-Munster clash of Kerry against Waterford at 3:45. That is the matters that are concerning Division 1 of the Lidl Ladies National Football League. Let's go to Division 2. And a lot of varying results. I know, Emma, you mentioned about all the draws that happened over the weekend, and we'll start with the game between Cavan and Mayo. Cavan coming up from Division 3, Mayo coming down from Division 1. Had a lot going into Kingspan Breheny Park, and Diane O'Hara's first game, of course, managing Mayo, coming into their managerial hot seat this season. Cavan did very, very well to start things off. Caroline Dolan's goal had them definitely have played a part in having them 3 points up going in at the break, 1-8 to 8 points. And both teams did have chances in that opening half. And then, Mayo were kind of coming into it, and it was fairly nip and tuck. Cavan were getting their scores, did very, very well against Mayo. And then just Sinead Cafferty's pass for Sinead Walsh, it was just absolute vision, everything you want from just someone to play a ball into one of your forwards. And Sinead Walsh, just, you don't make those mistakes. And I suppose from the forwards perspective, again, Joanne, like that's the ball you want into a forward to get them through to goal, and gives them the ideal opportunity to stick it into the back of the net.
Oh, it's even better to watch, isn't it, when you do see it? And of course, when you're that forward that's receiving that pass, it's just like, it is them all moments where you're like, that was class. That's what football's about, nearly, like, and showing that skill as well to just float it just over the defender. But yeah, like, top class finish as well. Like, you still have to put it in the back of the net after the lovely pass. But yeah, showed real composure. And I just think this is such a statement game. Like you said, like, Mayo only down, Cavan only up. And I think it also emphasises there's very little difference between the teams in those kind of middle divisions, the top of Division 4 right through to the bottom of Division 1, that, on any given day you can put a real marker down. And I feel like Cavan really wanted to do that and set it from the start that they're not just up to come straight back down. Likewise, Mayo probably will be disappointed and are probably going to be looking to get back up to Division 1. But yeah, it was a fantastic effort by Cavan, and I know they've a few girls back, and it's good to see some of them leaders really stepping up, like Aisling Sheridan and Sinead Green and all really, really performing and showing that grit that you need to stay in that division.
Yeah, like, that goal gave Mayo their first lead in the game, and then Ella Sheridan restores parity, then Mayo go back in front, then it's level again. Then Sinead Walsh gets a point. It looks like it's going to be the winning score. Mayo have done enough to come away with the win. And then, as you alluded to there, Aisling Sheridan, we mentioned about Katie Quirk having ice in the veins in stoppage time. Aisling Sheridan just did the exact same thing. And I suppose that's what you want, Emma, as well, in those scenarios where things might be going your way for spells of the game. Then you're looking to get out of a sticky patch, and you have those type of big game leaders to get you out of it. It's certainly good from a team and a management perspective as well.
Yeah, I'm sure Cavan are delighted that Aisling's about this year as well, and she is such a leader and such an athlete, and just even to have her experience to go, give me that, I'm going to take it, and we'll get the draw. But Mayo had Sinead Green saved the ball on the line. I think there was 2 or 3 clearances that Mayo went for goal, and the Cavan were hanging on by the skin of their teeth. And it just showed that the grit that Cavan had, and they were going, you know what it is? We're going to get some sort of result here. We're not going to lie down and let Mayo get it. But Mayo were down to 13 players. So they were. So I think there was the 2 McCaffertys, Sinead and Lisa, were playing. Fiona McKeel come on to try and steady the ship too, just to get across the line. And Diane O'Hara was actually just thrilled with getting a point on the board, because she was going, we literally hung on there by the skin of our teeth with 13 players. And see, with the new style of play, you still have to leave your 3 forwards up, whether you're down players or not. So imagine all that space up there that Cavan would have been going, here, just go at them. And they hung in and got the result at the end. So I'd say Cavan are probably delighted to get the point because it was Mayo coming down, but Mayo are similarly delighted to get the point because of the circumstances.
Absolutely. And then you look at a completely different game, the game between Tyrone and Monaghan. I know we always say goals win games, but, you know, Tyrone putting 7 on the board against Monaghan, winning 7-11 to 11 points, like just fairly statement result from a Tyrone team that are coming down from Division 1 and wanting to start on the, you know, the front foot. And, you know, we're 2-5 to 6 points ahead at half time. Looked, you know, very, very strong. Having those girls that are, you know, very, very good at getting in front of goal, getting those chances. Aoife Horace, Niamh O'Neill, and Emer McCanny getting a goal as well. Like they've just got those forwards, and then they just absolutely cut loose in the second half. Niamh O'Neill getting 2, Aoife Horace, Cara McNamee, Maeve Maxwell all getting on the board. Like from the Tyrone perspective, I suppose you wanted to get a strong performance coming off an All-Ireland winning season last year. I think they wanted just to start off Division 2 on a strong foot, Joanne, and certainly that's an eyebrow-raising result to kick off any league campaign.
Yeah, God, 7 goals in any game you'd be happy with. But I think Tyrone are definitely putting that marker down. It's brilliant to see a team regroup after winning. You know, it's very easy for girls to, you know, take a year out or go traveling and things like that. You know, for having that, like to have such a young team to be rebuilding and wanting to obviously clearly chomp at the bit to go again this year, is really, really good to see. And look, they did well last year in Division 2, that I'm sure they're happy enough to continue that and push on again. And a league is a very good target for a team like that to use it as a stepping stone into the championship, especially up in senior now this year. But funny, yeah, look at we played Tyrone in a challenge and look at their forward play is phenomenal. Like watching, so like I had never seen a team that's just so hungry to get on the ball, like, and just everybody wants to score now, but it's just oozing confidence. And you know, they have that lovely flair, and you know, like Sorka Gormley, and all, like you don't even have to mention her, but like when I seen Aoife Horace still there, I was like, oh, when is she going to Australia again? But look, it should be a massive help to them girls. And again, Niamh O'Neill stepping up, like phenomenal players, like, and they clearly deserved it. I suppose Monaghan have new management this year with Enda as well. That like maybe it is a regrouping side of things. Like, and look, it goes obviously win games, so maybe it is something that defensively that they have to look at and preventing so many goals. But yeah, it could be just a rebuilding stage for that Monaghan team.
I know when you have so many forwards getting on the score sheet, you know, Niamh O'Neill getting 2 goals and Cara McNamee getting a brace as well, and a couple of other players that are, you know, you've the established players, and then you have the younger players as well that might get a couple of scores and put their hand up. I suppose from a selection perspective, and then that just gives, I suppose, a welcome headache from management that at this early stage of the season, you're going to have girls that are getting momentum, getting minutes into the legs, and I suppose developing themselves to, when you're Tyrone as well, preparing for a senior championship campaign.
Yeah, no, I think Tyrone will be delighted that they've went for the jugular too. They could have easily just says, well, sure, a win's a win, but all them girls put their hand up and said, look here, I can score goals, and you're going to need goals later down the line. So I want to stay on the legs of Niamh O'Neill. Her vision off the ball, so even she wouldn't even have to be in the 3 forwards that stay up. She could be dropping back and then feeding all those younger girls, because she has the vision and the ability to pull out that kick. And as I was going to say to Joanne earlier, would she prefer to be the person to do the lovely pass or the one to do the scoring at the end? So it's going to be all coming down to it. But Tyrone's going to be pushing to get up to Division 1, because they're going to go, we want to be playing the best of the best to try and stay up in senior. And it is going to be tight in Division 2. So that's why they're going as well. Score difference could be a factor So they want to get as many scores on the board to be the difference at the end, because it's going to be tight, because every team on their day is the scores are going to be completely different each week, where our heads are going to be fried each week going what's going on, because Monaghan, new management, they probably with the weather haven't got many challenge games with college football. They probably don't have much of that either with having a full squad together. So their management is probably still going, who do we have? Yes, the Garlands. Yes, Rosemary Courtney. But who's the rest? Who's all these new girls that's biting at the bit that want a spot? Who's good enough and whatever? So Monaghan are going to be pushing on, and next week, as I said, they could be playing somebody else that we go, well, actually, Monaghan might actually tip over there. It was just unlucky that they've got Tyrone that's coming out of that successful season, and they're going, we're biting at the bit, we want to get up to Division 1.
Another team that looked very, very impressive were Donegal against Westmeath. I suppose every team wants to get an opening round win as well. Very, very tight first half between the two of them. Katie Dowds and Suzanne White doing very, very well for Donegal to keep them at parity at the break. Anna Jones putting away a penalty from the Westmeath perspective. And then Suzanne gets the goal. It was in the 39th minute and put Donegal 4 points ahead. And, Westmeath come right back into it. But fantastic final quarter from Donegal, and just I suppose the way that teams will want to see out games and everything like that. It's just I suppose the way that you would have wanted it to, and to outscore your opponents 1-4 to 1 points as well. And Cork Gillespie's goal influential there as well, and 3 points from Ava Gallagher. Like I think that's what any team would want, Emma, just to see out a game as well.
Yeah, so this will be James's second year in with Donegal, and I know last year he was going through a massive rebuilding transitioning stage, that it obviously lost Niamh and Amy Boyle-Carr and stuff, that he was kind of panicking at stage going, he's just learning who these girls were. So it's great to see that they're pushing on now. I know Rogers went off, she got stretchered off in the first half too, and she would have been a massive loss.
Yeah.
For them to even pick themselves up at halftime and go, do you know what it is? We're going to go out here and win it for, because she would put her head where you wouldn't park a car at anyway. So that's why you're going, right, okay. And it was great to see Blanid McLaughlin back. She's a real leader, and she's had a couple of tough years through injuries, but just having her experience there, I think she got a couple of scores on the board. And that will be a great driving force for James to have some of those more experienced girls there to drive on. But great start to the season for Donegal, and they'll be hoping to push on now.
Obviously, great result, but marred by the injury to Roisin Rogers. Like that's, I suppose, it's a double edge of a coin. Like you can kind of say, yeah, it's a great win, good win to drive us on, but to lose a player like her right at the start of the season, that is going to be a massive, massive blow to Donegal. We don't know how long she's going to be out for. We all wish her the very best of luck in the recovery from the injury. But Joanne, like that's definitely a hammer blow to take for any team when you go into your first game of a new campaign and you lose one of your marquee players.
100%, especially in a game so tight like that. And obviously Roisin was captain last year. She's one of the main leaders there for the Donegal side. But again, it can go one of two ways, and thankfully Donegal really stood up and was kind of like Emma said, they were like, we were going to do this for Roisin, and the likes of Suzanne White, like even her finishing on the day, again, just fantastic to watch. And I do think, I suppose, they've a lot to, maybe a point to prove after last year, just avoiding relegation from senior championship as well, that maybe it is, I know this started late last year, like Emma said, only James coming in. So it probably was a rebuilding year completely, like, and it shows that girls are really buying in, with girls coming back and other girls just really staying on and sticking it out to try and build something to make sure that they don't run it that close this year again. And like I said, a great first start in Division 2 to get that win. And like Emma said, maybe it is just being too competitive, but I do think, as much as we're saying it's only the first league game, it can come to haunt you down the line, so especially in Division 2, I think it's going to be a very tight division, that win could really, really stand at Donegal.
certainly when you're looking at the Tipperary Wexford game, another game that I suppose demonstrated just how tight Division 2 is going to be. Wexford playing their first Division 2 outing since 2021, and I know Tipperary won 2-12 to 2-9 in the end, but they had to weather a serious storm in that second half. Like, Wexford bounced back. They were down 1-9 to 1-6, fell adrift a little bit. Tipperary went through the gears, and they went right back into it again. Like in the 53rd minute, they were down 2-10 to 1-8, but they just came back and they came back and they came back. And just from their perspective, just didn't go the way they would have liked. Emma Morrissey, lovely finish to the back of the net fairly early on. And from any team's perspective, you want to start the game well, and for a 1-4 to 1 point lead fairly early, Emma, I think that's what any team will want when you're coming into a game. Just start well and just keep the momentum going after that.
Yeah, if you get a goal early on, at least then it's just about let's keep tacking on the points, keep pushing on, because they'll always need another score then to try and get back at you. But Tipperary are always a really dogged team, and Wexford the same. So anytime we would have played Wexford, they never knew when to lie down. You knew they were going to come at you. And again, new management in this year. So like they'll be probably pretty happy with their performance, but not with the overall result, because they never gave up. So if a team kind of lies down, you're going, right, okay, there's something wrong. But they really, really persevered and kept going and going. And it was just unlucky, I think, that the time probably ran out on them to try and catch up.
And I know that they use the rules fairly well when they use the tap and go, and Ciara Robin put the ball into the back of the net around the 16th minute. But Tipperary still kind of had that cushion and went into the break leading, and I suppose just kind of went through the gears, and then just 1-2 without reply between the 33rd and the 40th minute. Morrissey putting away a penalty, kind of swung momentum back in Tipperary's favour. But like you said, Wexford, they just never gave up. They kept going. Grace Donovan got herself a personal haul 1-2, and that goal arriving 90 seconds into injury time, maybe just a little bit too late for them, but they could have come away with it. I think as well, like when you're a team coming up into this division, having been away for a while, I think they can take a lot of confidence from it, Emma, when you're coming up against a team like Tipperary, who are vastly experienced in their own right as well.
Yeah, like as I said, Tipperary are used to playing at that level, and it's not been rude to Wexford, but you have to adjust. You can't just expect to go up a level and be able to just click your fingers and go, right, we're here. So like they will build on it, and as I said, they'll be delighted in their performance, and at the same time they'll go back and they'll reflect and review what went right, what went wrong, how can they improve, and they'll take more learnings from that game and hopefully build on for the next couple of games. But going with that performance, if they can get a few results, they're more than capable of staying up.
Absolutely. Let's have a look at the Division 2 league table after the weekend. Tyrone on top spot with 3 points. Donegal second with the same, of course, score difference just separating the two of them. Same story with Division 1, and Tipperary in third spot on 3 points. Cavan and Mayo in fourth and fifth respectively with a point each. Wexford in sixth with no points on the board after their first game, and Westmeath and Monaghan sitting in the basement places in seventh and eighth. And looking at the fixtures for round 2, Mayo taking on Wexford at 2 o'clock on the 1st of February, alongside Monaghan hosting Donegal at the same time. Tipperary taking on Cavan, and Westmeath and Tyrone, all those games, of course, taking place on the same day at the same time of asking as well. Let's go on to Division 3, and another team that had a very, very strong start, team making their return to Division 3 this year, were Antrim. I suppose we're looking to build on fairly strong season last year. Division 4 winners, coming in, lost an All-Ireland final, but we're disappointed with how that game transpired against Louth. But a 12-point win over Clare to start off a Division 3 campaign. Certainly nothing to take too lightly as well. They were behind at the break, and whatever was said at halftime certainly kicked them into gear. They're good. They got a couple of scores. Lara DeHunzi getting a point after the break, and then Laura Agnew and Ciara Brown kicking scores, and suddenly the gap is reduced, and Teresa Mellon gets the first of their 3 goals to put them ahead 1-7 to 1-6, and then they just kind of hit the gears again, and Maria O'Neill gets a couple of points. Ciara Brown gets another score, and then puts the ball into the back of the net to make it 2-10 to 6 points. So while maybe they were just shaking off a few cobwebs and getting some rust out of the engine in the first half, Joanne, they certainly kicked into gear as the second half got underway and just started to hit their stride.
Yeah, just started scoring for fun by the looks of things then in that second half. But yeah, look, they've been a team that seemed to play really well together, and they've a lovely flow together. And look, we've been naming these girls from last year that what did it go, a 16-game streak unbeaten, obviously until that All-Ireland final. But the likes of Maria O'Neill, even Ciara Brown, again, we were speaking about this, usually playing a defensive role, to get 1-3 on the board. Maybe it's like Clare maybe didn't expect her to be such a threat up there, but again, they've proved several times that they don't rely on the same people to score, and they have several girls that are willing to put their hand up and really take their chance to get on that scoreboard, which makes them such a threat as well. But again, no more than ourselves, I'm sure they're looking to lay down a marker in Division 3, and they'll not want to, I suppose, have the repeat of a few years ago and come straight back down, and they've proved that already.
Yeah, I know, Emma, you will know Ciara better than the two of us. She's just such a Rolls Royce player, can do it in attack with 1-3 scored, and put her in the back or put her in midfield. I think she can just play anywhere, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I've seen the scores, so I think she fist passed at 2 of the points, so she wasn't using her feet. But she was, again, she's very powerful runner with the ball, so I think she just got on to the end, and she was smart enough to fist it over the bar before she got blocked down. And the keeper made a lovely save, and she was, again, following up the ball and was able to pick it up and stick it in the back of the net as well. So Ciara didn't start. She came on at half time, and so did a couple of the other girls. So they were the factors that kind of changed the game coming in. So, if you're bringing on the likes of Ciara Brown, Emma Louise McAreevy, and a few of the other girls, they're going to be a big difference. Clare obviously had a long travel to go, and we did that journey a couple of times, and down to there, and it's not nice. Again, it was good for them to get the points on the board, and obviously they'll push on now. I think that they have to travel to Limerick next week, which is again a long old journey for them. But it's a good start for them. Let's hope they'll push on now for the rest of the season and stay up.
I won't mention the last time that Antrim and Clare met in Division 3, but from an Antrim perspective, definitely a much improved performance the last time around. Roscommon getting a win on the board as well at the weekend, a 3-6 to 8-point win. 2 second half goals really deciding this one. Lauren Shanahan and Caoimhe Lennon getting them onto a winning platform as well. And again, very close between the two teams. Great goal from Rachel Fitzmaurice from the Roscommon perspective. Caught Carol Bateman off her line, the Limerick goalkeeper. I suppose a bit of a clever thinking by her there to get that ball into the back of the net. But to be fair to Limerick, while they were up against it for a bit, they did kick the last 4 points of the half and managed to draw it level 1-2 to 5 points. But again, those inspirational words of wisdom or tactical changes at halftime from the Roscommon perspective just I suppose just kick them into gear. Like, you have someone like Aisling Hanley who's going to get a couple of scores for you. Absolutely fantastic player. Lucy O'Brien got Limerick's only point from play at that point, and then by the time the 47th minute, like, Caoimhe Lennon gets the ball into the net, Laura Shanahan gets the ball into the back of the net. 2 goals in the space of about 30 seconds. I don't think you can ask for a better return in that short space of time, Joanne, from a scoring perspective.
Yeah, I think, look, that's obviously a dream scenario where it's just a score, kick out, win the kick out, score again. You know, there's nothing, I suppose, as deliberating for the opposition team to just kind of not get out from their own kickouts. But like you said, like the likes of the Lennons, like the unbelievable players, like really skillful forwards like that are very hard to stop. And I suppose a few retirements this year for Limerick with me, you know, massive leaders, you know, retiring is a massive hit to any county, especially the likes of them. So they probably are looking to I suppose lean on younger leaders that probably need to step up now. But again, Roscommon are probably looking at that. Well, that's their opportunity to seize, and they really did that. I know Roscommon are still very competitive and, you know, wanted to do well. Like, we had a very tough game against them in the championship last year, so there's definitely a force to be reckoned with too. And again, I'm not 100% sure, but I don't think they've lost many from last year as well. Like, so they'll be looking to kind of really push on and put a marker down in this division.
Absolutely. Limerick, of course, losing the likes of Kathy Meehan and Deborah Murphy as well. Like, they're 2 very, very experienced players for them. Like, they're still a very strong team. Again, another team with a change of management this year. There's been a lot of managerial changes up and down the country with teams as well. But from the Roscommon perspective, hard-earned win, Emma, and one that they'll be, you know, looking out to build on for the remainder of this campaign.
Yeah, Roscommon would probably be fancying themselves to be pushing on in this division this year. They have been very strong. Hanley to come off the bench, it's like she's just class in her own right. Like, you know, she's going to annoy the defenders and get a few scores and intercept something or create something. So for her coming off the bench, Limerick were probably going on now. But Limerick, they're rebuilding. They've lost a lot of experience that they will be looking around and going, right, who wants to step up here? Who wants to claim that jersey that those girls had? And who wants to create a legacy in the jersey similar to what they've done when they've left? So it's Limerick, I'd say, is a wee bit rebuilding, whereas Roscommon, as we said, they should be pushing on now because they've had a steady team, at least 2 years. So they should be pushing on a bit now and going, right, if we're going to make something happen, we need to do it now. Because you know yourself, people could ditch off like Joanne to get married, like, and things could change.
Literally.
Oh, I love the little sly dig there. Just, you know, you can't be doing that. You have to stay. You have to play the football. That's what you're here to do. That's a nice little transition to talk about the Laois and Fermanagh game. I know we'll say from the perspective of Roscommon and Clare, both of them are coming down coming down from Division 2. You're coming up, Joanne, from Division 4 this year and coming up against a Laois team that made the All-Ireland Intermediate final last year. You have history against them in the past as well. They're a very, very strong team, but I think overall narrative from the 3-13 apiece draw is you'll be disappointed having been 6 points up not to have come away with a win.
Yeah, look, I think I know last year when we first played Laois in the league, I think we were nearly in awe and we were saying like they were like women and we were like girls, you know, and I think we probably were just a lot more prepared this year. And look, I think what kind of gave us a bit of confidence was that, like, you know, we ran Tyrone so close and Tyrone obviously beat Laois, you know, in the All-Ireland final. So like we were like, we have nothing to fear. I think it's one of them things where there was very little expectations on us to come away with a result. You know, with a lot of injuries at the minute. We had a very inexperienced team. A lot of young girls really, really stood up to the mark. And to be honest, I was immensely proud with our performance and us in the first half. And I think if we just, again, at halftime, we were like, if we just go out and prove ourselves again and play that free-flowing football that we know we can play, we will have a chance. And look, we did go a point up, and we probably, again, between different decisions and a few maybe that wee bit of inexperience to know how to see a game out and to maybe slow it down, kick the bloody ball away, whatever you have to do to run the clock down that wee bit more. But again, look, at to come away with a draw, travelling down to Laois, look, at we'll take it. I think we would have took that on the way down. So look, at it, it's definitely a building block for us, and we can take a lot of learnings from it, and hopefully just layer that each week, and going through to the next round.
I know the game got moved to the Astro in the Haywood Community School. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know if I was reading it correctly, that someone had it up to say that there wasn't a 40-meter arc, that someone had to come out with a can of spray paint and actually drew an arc on the pitch.
There was a very faint 40-meter arc, and again, maybe it was a wee bit tactical in us. We were missing a few players that we were like, oh no, it can't be played without. And some man came with a lovely white spray paint while we were warming up, and really got the fumes in our lungs, to get us set up for the game. Maybe there's no anti-doping out testing before the game, because we were all fumed up. But no, look, at we probably expected.
You should be looking at every game now. It gives you a kick to get going.
I'm telling you, but look, at we probably expected with the rain over the weekend, it was very unlikely to probably get a pitch that, look, at I know a lot of the girls would rather just play these games. There's going to be other reasons that games are going to be getting moved and stuff, that you'd rather just front load the start of the year. But yeah, look, at again, we're used to training on 3G, so it's definitely tougher conditions. But again, the scoreboard kind of showed it probably allows for a wee bit more free flowing game and a quicker style of football that, as the game went on, it showed that it could change fairly quickly as well. And I suppose that lay into the conditions being that wee bit better.
It was an end-to-end, just a game that had everything with the amount of scores. You brought the shooting boots as well, getting a couple of scores onto the board. So definitely from their perspective, I know it was a draw. Like, Laois could say they had chances to win the game. You could say he had chances to win the game as well. But for a first game up in Division 3, from your perspective, with newer girls and inexperienced girls, just to give them a first taste of it, a good run out against a very tough and well-run Laois side.
Yeah, exactly. And no doubt, like, Laois, we're missing, like, Jane Moore, no one was playing. Again, I don't know if they are coming out, and Mo wasn't playing, so they could argue as well, they're missing players too. But look, like you said, like, the travelling team always has that tougher kind of game to play, like, and I think, look, we're definitely happy to take a point out of that and travelling down the road with that point. But like you said, I feel like either team could have said that they would have won it, because it was so tit for tat. We would go ahead, they would go ahead. Again, we'll not mention that the tap and go wasn't really a tap and go, it was more a bounce. But like, again, this is all learnings for everybody, even the referees, I suppose. And it was good to get used to the physicality and what's allowed and what's not allowed. And again, hopefully we'll see a wee bit more consistency with that over the next few weeks as well.
Another game that had so much drama and had 3 different venues coming into this was the game between Louth and Down. That was the latest throw-in on Sunday. A draw between the two sides. Louth 3-6, Down 1-12. Louth having their own lead. They had a 5-point lead and they left it slip late on. Whether it's just the new rules kind of adding a little bit of extra spice to everything, or just a couple of different things. We have to just wait and see. Will this kind of pattern follow suit now for the remainder of the league, or was it just kind of round one, team just getting used to being back in competitive action? But Emer Fitzpatrick with 8 points, the winner, well, not the winner, but more so the hero for Down in the end, getting that vital score in injury time. I think, Emma, that Down can take a lot of positives when they were, as part of the pun, when they were down coming into the final few minutes, that they just managed to get it out of the fire. But I suppose Louth are going to be absolutely kicking themselves to have committed that breach.
Yeah, I'm sure whoever was meant to be shouting at the girls to not cross the line has got a good shout in that. But again, it came down to Emer to still put it over. It was still tough conditions, and like, as you know, you could step up there and completely fluff it. So it was fair play to her. She obviously did her shooting, but she was very good last year in shooting, and she's carried it on, but she still had to nail it. Any of us probably could have stepped up and were like, I no bother, and completely miss it. Like, so fair play to her to do that. And like, Down were meant to have a home game, and it ended up being Louth's home game, and on 3G. So all those changes and mind games, and you know yourself, oh well, we're thinking it's a 2:00 start now, it's a 4:15 start. We're meant to be having our breakfast, but now we're having our lunch. So all those mind games, I'm sure the managers were probably having a complete nightmare going, we need the game to happen, but now everybody's off sync. We're meant to be warming up here, but we're meant to be eating here. And it was just probably all madness that both teams are probably going, right, we'll take the draw just because we didn't know if we were coming or going, if we were going to get playing or not. So both teams are probably happy enough with the point, but at the same time, Louth will be kicking themselves that they let that lead slip. And whoever's shouting on the sideline to stop that line is going to be more tuned in for the next couple of games.
Well, I know if I stepped up anyway, it would have definitely gone wide. That's a different story. Louth going into the final 10 minutes, like they were, 3 to 7 points ahead. They looked in control. They looked composed, as you mentioned. Look, it technically was nearly a home game for them, more so than an away game. They looked composed. They themselves are coming off an All-Ireland winning season coming into this, so I suppose they wanted to start really well. But then, Ava Hicks gets the goal for Louth, or for Down, maybe just changes that little bit of a mentality, Joanne. You've spoken about it, just that might have just spurred them on. And I know Megan Doherty and Zara Sweeney exchanged points, but then it just comes down to that breach. I don't know, when you look at the breach, what was going through the Louth heads at that moment. I suppose when you're going into those final exchanges, I suppose you want to keep everything as cool, calm, and composed as you would have liked, but just on that occasion, not going the way they would have liked.
Exactly, and as well, like Leash did it in our game too. I think it is that it probably is a lot for girls to get used to, and in those dying maybe 6-7 minutes of a game when it is that close, and for the likes of Louth that had such a lead, that sometimes when a team has the whole momentum and you're really trying to hold on to that point difference or whatever it may be, that your concentration can slip, that you're just so focused on trying to stop them getting the ball that you may not be swiveling the head. You mightn't even think about it because it's so new. That just lapse of concentration can completely, like I say, like a point in these games, how many draw games was there? A point is a win, so it can be the difference. And I think that is definitely something that managers and coaches will have to bring into training of some sort, or like Emma said, someone on the sideline roaring on to make sure that a breach is not the reason you lose or end up drawing a game, so it definitely, like, again, maybe like we're saying earlier off the recording about, like, if you had the wind at your back, you can bring that out for a 2-pointer. If it was to win an important game, it can be the difference. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes over the next few weeks, and if many more do kind of clue on to that. But I reckon it's one of them things that happens once and you make sure that it doesn't happen again.
Absolutely. We'll take a look at the Division 3 table after what was a dramatic opening round of action. Antrim sitting on top in first with 3 points, alongside Roscommon in second, score difference just separating those two. Fermanagh in third and Laois in fourth. Down in fifth and Louth in sixth, all with a point each there in that one. And then at the bottom of the table, it's Limerick in 7th spot and Clare in 8th spot with no points on the board. The round 2 fixtures for Division 3, should I say, this weekend. We'll see Clare at home to Louth for a 1 o'clock throw-in on Sunday. Fermanagh are at home to Roscommon at 2, Laois at home to Down at the same time, and Limerick throw-in at home to Antrim at the same time of asking as well. Now that brings us swiftly along to Division 4, the last of the divisions to talk about this week, and a division that has seen 2 rounds of action in comparison to the remaining ones, and two fairly contrasting rounds, but two teams unbeaten at the top of the table. We'll start first with Leitrim, who I suppose have been in this almost a purgatory stage over the last couple of years. If we just can't get out of Division 4, we're just going to be stuck here. When are we ever going to get out of it? But 2 wins on the board. While they did have a fairly, as the scoreboard read, a fairly convincing win at home, away to Longford the previous weekend, their home tie with Offaly, a 111 to 1-8 win. It was a very, very closely fought game in Park Sean. Offaly's first loss since coming down from Division 3. And, both sides were coming into it off a win, and it was fairly nip and tuck. Leitrim have had a couple of changes to their squad this year. A couple of players coming back in. A few others have departed as well. But from the Leitrim perspective, a good performance, Joanne, and one now that they can build on. You've seen yourself how tough Division 4 can be.
Yeah, it's such fine margins, and a game where you used to always argue that it wasn't, it was top 4, really. You just needed to make top 4 because there is semi-finals and finals, and that's where you could get caught. But look at their I suppose, right and wrongs of last year about maybe they thought they might have had more time last year to get up in that top 4. But look at 2 wins from 2, I'm sure they'll definitely be happy with. I know I think it's Johnny's 5th year in managing them, and to get them few girls back, it would be massive for the girls, especially after the intermediate win. And maybe it is, like we mentioned earlier, that some girls take the foot off the pedal the year after winning, that it can take a wee while to regroup. But it seems like a lot of them girls are back out and are chomping at the bit again this year. Look, at Offaly was never going to be easy coming down from Division 3 either. I'd say that potentially could be one of the toughest games they'll play this division. And that I reckon, even though it was a close fought game, Leitrim will be very, very happy to come out the other side of it. And even the likes of having Michelle back as well will be a massive asset to that team. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if they keep that winning streak going. And maybe for Offaly, probably looking to right the wrongs from this week coming into the next round.
Yeah, I know they've just kind of drifted out of the top 4 race now going into round 3, but look, they'll be quick and easy to bounce back. And Michelle is a big player to come back into that Leitrim setup. Michelle Guckian, and unfortunately picked up an injury in the game, and that's a big loss. But you have the likes of Myrna Devaney there from the Leitrim perspective, who got herself to plenty of scores in that game, and Offaly can take a lot from it. It kind of took a few scores from Devaney to kind of seal it late on. So I don't think Offaly will be too downtrodden coming out of that one. But a team that picked themselves up from defeat were the team that Leitrim did play the previous week. Longford picking up a 3-8 to 7-point win against Wicklow. Fairly nip and tuck opening half. Longford going ahead 5 points to 4 at the break. Lucy Dunn's 2 points, and Millie Phelan and Ella Park all getting on the board for from the Wicklow perspective. And they leveled it fairly early on in the second half through Niamh Caffrey, but then just Longford. We said goals win games. Katie Crawford hitting a brace, and then Camille Burke also getting a green flag as well. And a good result from the Longford perspective, Emma, just to, I suppose, build a little bit of momentum now coming into the next round of the league.
Yeah, I watched Longford a couple of times last year, and I thought that they had the potential, but they could never just get across the line when it mattered. So it was good for them to kind of get that win, because Wicklow would be no slouches either. And as I said, it was nip and tuck, and Wicklow wouldn't lie down. So Longford will be taking a lot of positives from that game, and they'll rebuild and push on, and it'll be the same as Offaly. They're not going to panic, and as Joanne said, you need top 4, so you don't want to mess up in the first couple of games. But at the same time, even Wicklow, Offaly will be looking at the games that haven't played yet, and they'll be targeting the so-called weaker teams that haven't got the results so far, and aiming for that top 4 place. Whereas Leitrim's just going, do you know what it is? We can't afford any slip-ups this year. This is the year we need to get out of Division 4. So I'd say they're just going to be going hell for leather and taking every game like a final from now on, because they can't be in Division 4 next year again. Or Johnny will probably be going, is he cursed or what's going on? So yeah, it's a big year for all Lemons.
A team that obviously mentioned Offaly coming down, another team coming down, Carlow, who had that, I suppose, the emotion when they made the Division 4 final a couple of years ago and defeated Limerick in Burr. Like, that was a big day for them to win silverware. And Division 3 didn't transpire the way they would have liked it last year. And the junior championship, the way that unfolded in the finish up as well, there was a lot of disappointment. But 2 wins from 2 and a big statement made against Kilkenny at the weekend, 428 to a point, 14 points to no score up at half time, and then you bag 4 goals in the second half along with another 14-point haul as well. Clean Shea getting them a hat trick, and Megan Townsend getting their 4th goal as well. Like, that's another big result for them. They had a fairly close battle in their first game with Sligo, winning 1-7 to 4 points in the finish up, Joanne. But again, I suppose it is confidence, and when you have the forwards motoring through the gears, it's only going to be good now coming into, I suppose, when we reach that business end of the league when all teams are trying to make top 4.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, like, I feel like Carlo is always, again, we always hated seeing them coming, and like, they have, like you said, like Clean and Shea, like Megan Townsend, very impressive forwards, very dangerous forwards. Like, obviously, look at, like, playing Kilkenny, you'd always like to guarantee that, look at, and no offense to Kilkenny, but most teams will be thinking that is a guaranteed win. But like you said, they were putting a statement down like that. If it does come to score difference, they were making sure that they were rattling up that good score. But yeah, the likes of Sligo getting the win, again, it's one of them things. I think teams, once you get out of Division 3, you understand how hard it is to get out, that they're probably very disappointed that they are back, that I'm sure their focus is just to try and get out straight away again and to keep that momentum up. But to be honest, we played Sligo again in a challenge match, and I was very impressed with the physicality of them. Maybe a ref on a different day might let things go that maybe they didn't get away with against Carlo and things like that, but it will be very interesting to see how I feel like, again, in Division 4, there's always like 3 or 4 teams that are very, very close, and it's always such a tough division to get out of. So it will be very interesting this year between them all.
Yeah, like, I know, like, Derry had a very good win against Kilkenny, and Sligo were trying to pick themselves back up from that defeat to Carlo a week previous, and came out 120 to 2-8 winners against Derry. They looked very, very strong kind of throughout the game. Leah Duffy looked very, very strong and very composed forward, and they were 1-5 to 1 point up before, I suppose, Derry kind of got themselves foothold into the game. Annie Loughlin's goal there toward the latter stages kind of kept them, maybe just give them a little bit of momentum going into half time. They kind of kicked on in the second half, got a couple of scores, but Sligo looking very well. A team that we spoke about on the podcast last year in the championship season, that they were dark horses in that junior championship, and with the way the games could have gone, they could have made an appearance in Croke Park last August. It just didn't transpire in that respect, Emma. But they're definitely a team to keep an eye on, and Derry are no pushovers either. Getting a result against them is certainly throwing that top 4 race into chaos now going into round 3.
Yes, Sligo have some like complete speedsters. Like, you think that you have them, the next thing it's like the flick a switch and away they go. And like last year against Antrim, they could have had them if they had took their chances. So like, they will be gunning to get out of Division 4, but it's like the rest, once you're stuck down there, it is like hell trying to get out of it, and they're all fighting and fighting and fighting. And Derry, it's like every year going, are they going to click? Are they going to click and actually pull something here? Because they have the talent. If you look at all their club football, half of them are getting to Ulster semi-finals or finals at the B or whatever level, and you're going, how can you not get a really good team together and pull some victories together and push on into the top 4? Instead of, some teams are now looking at the likes of Derry and Kilkenny as the 2 teams, if we're going to target them, and possibly if fixtures go our way, most people are probably, again, no offence to Kilkenny, going, if we have Kilkenny last and we need a big score difference, we can really push and go hard at them. Whereas I'm going to Kilkenny, well, you have the All-Ireland junior club winners, but none of them are out yet. Are they going to come out? Because they would make a massive difference in there to Kilkenny. And just even the experience and the belief and would be a huge strength to them, that you're going, why are they not buying in and getting their county and being proud of that badge and pushing on? I'm hoping that maybe they're just on a break and they're going to come back in a couple of weeks and go, we're here, we're going to prove everybody wrong, and Kilkenny's going to be a big powerhouse here and try. But at the minute, you're just going, them other teams that have maybe had a bit experience in Division 3 are going, we need out of here and we're going to push. And Leitrim, just because of where they've been stuck at for so long, that they're just going to push on and push on. Derry, yes, the win against Kilkenny in the first game would have given them a bit of confidence, but they're probably disappointed now if going to Sligo and not getting as good a performance as they should have been. But Sligo, I would fancy to be up there and pushing. So, yeah, as we say, Division 4, it is really hard to know. It'll go down to the wire, and it will literally be going by who plays who in the last couple of games that they'll knock each other out.
I know Kilkenny are still growing, they're still developing, and you've seen Muckalee winning the junior All-Ireland club title as well. So like that's a positive that they could take as well. Like ladies football is starting to thrive down there, and I suppose you are coming up against so many different experienced teams in Division 4. Like it is an absolute minefield. Like looking at the league table coming into round 3, like obviously Carlow and Leitrim first and second respectively, both on 6 points, unbeaten after their opening 2 games. Derry in third, Sligo in fourth, Offaly in fifth, Longford in sixth, all on 3 points with a win and a loss accumulated after 2 games. And then Wicklow in seventh, no points on the board so far, and the same with Kilkenny down in bottom of the table spot. The Division 4 round 3 fixtures for the weekend. On Sunday, Carlow at home to Wicklow at 2. Derry take on Longford at the same time. Leitrim hosts Sligo. Short spin there for Sligo to take on Leitrim, and then Offaly against Kilkenny, another all inter-provincial clash there. So we've had a look at the Division 4 league table and the results from last week. I'm delighted to be joined by our first guest for season 2 on the Ladies Gaelic Football Podcast. That's Sligo's co-captain Tara Breheny. You're 2 games into the league, Tara. You're going into your 3rd game now at the weekend. A win and a loss so far, and now you're going into Sligo. I suppose it's been you're 2 games in, so the campaign is still in its infancy, but it's a very important game now against Leitrim this weekend.
Yeah, it is. It's really important to us now to go out and get the win. Just after our first game losing to Carlow by 3 points, I just feel that we probably need to go out and get a performance in before our bye week and get the win, just to have it on the table, because it's top 4 into the semi-finals. So it would just be really important now to get just back in to keep up top, and just to have the win under our belts. And after playing Leitrim last year, it gave us such a boost heading into championship, since they're a very good team. So hopefully if we get that boost, then we can push on again in the league.
Yeah, and I suppose there was that air of disappointment about how the Carlow game transpired in round 1. It's not the way any team wants to start their league campaign, but certainly you picked yourselves up when it came to playing Derry at the weekend, a fairly emphatic performance on your end.
Yeah, after Carlow, obviously we were very disappointed, but we kind of just regrouped after that, and we were kind of just trying to see what we could do and how we could do things differently going into Derry. And we did that. We regrouped, we pushed harder in training during the week, and the result came down for us on Sunday. We had a good performance and we pushed on then after that game.
Division 4 has always been a very tough battleground, and you bring Carlow back into the mix. This year, Offaly have come down as well. So there are 2 very good teams coming down from Division 3 and Division 4. And then there's yourselves, there's Leitrim, Derry are there as well that you would have played. There's a lot of tough teams. And I suppose we probably will see the pattern develop that any team can beat any team with the way the format works, but it is everyone trying to get top 4 at the end of the day to progress that little bit further. But I suppose every result now is crucial from your perspective, having lost that opening game.
That's it, yeah, because I feel a lot of the games are going very differently. Like there's always a team beating another where unexpectedly, and there's always results going different ways. So it's just important for us to go out ourselves and just try and get the wins. Just so we can keep pushing on and keep up the top of the table, because like as I said, like any team can go out and beat another. Like everyone is on a very level playing ground. So I do think it's just important that we go out and keep pushing, because there are great teams, like as you said, like Carlow and Offaly have only come down from Division 3, and they're two very good sides. So, and we haven't played them too much like in the last few years. So they're quite new teams compared to a few that we have played, the likes of last year in the league. But yeah, so they're very different. But it is very important to us now to keep pushing on with the games and just try and get the most wins that we can out of them.
Yeah, and you've seen the likes of Longford picked up their first win at the weekend as well, and you've Wicklow and Kilkenny there down at the bottom end of the table. They're going to be looking for results when those fixtures come up from your perspective as well. But I suppose it will be that game by game mentality, and the next game now is this weekend against Leitrim. I suppose you have played them, as you mentioned, in the past, and they're a team that aren't too far away from me. It's a nice little local, nice little short spin to play Leitrim, but they're a very tough team. They've been a team that have been struggling to get out of Division 4 for the last couple of years. They've been knocking on the door every single year, just haven't gotten over that line. And we're 2 games in, they're unbeaten, and they've a lot of good pedigree in their team, and they're going to be a tough task now for you guys this Sunday.
Yeah, they definitely will be. Like they're very, very good, and as you said, like they are pushing an awful lot, like to try and get out of Division 4. They've been there a few years now, and obviously the fact they were senior last year and still playing Division 4, I'd say they're really pushing to get back out of there. They're a great team, like they have great forwards, and they're, you can see by their results that they're great at scoring and getting the scores. So they definitely will be a tough battle, but I think our team will go into it. If we play well, we play as a team, then I have no doubt that we'll be able to beat them.
Yeah, and I suppose from your perspective as well, you still have that momentum coming in from the All-Ireland series last year. I know you were disappointed with how it went, but we said on the show last year, you really came across as the dark horse in the junior championship and just were gathering steam, gathering momentum, and made it all the way to the semi-finals when a lot of people mightn't have backed you in that respect. And I think you can take a lot of learnings from that and now take it into the league. Obviously, we have the new rules and a couple of other little changes and tweaks to the game. So that can only stand to you now going into this and trying to build ahead of another championship campaign in the summer.
Yeah, that's it. Like after last year's league and championship, like we had a year kind of rebuilding, and we got new management in. It was just a bit of freshness into like the scene. So after the league, after getting to the semi-final in the league, we were kind of realised that we're probably more than capable of pushing on in the junior championship, and that's what gave us the confidence after a few years of losses. So going into the junior championship, we had the confidence. We had played some of the teams before, and once we had the 2, Derry and Kilkenny first. So after beating them 2 was going into Limerick, and just our mentality and that was just to get the win in there. So after that, then pushing on, we obviously lost to Louth in our last group game and got a tough semi-final to Antrim. But we kind of realised after that we are capable and we should be there and we should be pushing for that final. So I think this year going into it, that we'll have loads of confidence and belief in getting that bit further and getting to the finals this year.
Yourself and Leah, of course, got on the junior team of the year last year as well. And I suppose from your own perspective, you started with Sligo as a 16-year-old. At 18, you were made vice captain, and now at 20, you're co-captain. So how have you found that transition from, I suppose, coming into Sligo as a teenager to now being in your early 20s and being the one of, I suppose, a couple of leaders within that group?
Yeah, it was very different, probably experience to most people coming in that early. Like I was only 16 and I was still only my first year playing minor for Sligo. But I think it was great to have the experience. Once I was like my second year minor and then first year senior, like I kind of had that bit of experience under my belt that you need to be playing your football. So coming into it now probably has given me just that extra like push to be able to play and just having that experience, because it's a different game, like transitioning from minor to senior. So it has been great. And then having the more leadership roles, I think all the girls are just very good and they're very supportive. It's very much a leadership kind of group. And there's great girls there that Joe pushes all on as well. So it's not just me. There's definitely a lot of us pushing everyone on and keeping the group, just keeping a nice group and a nice kind of environment with it.
We'll have to keep an eye on how things develop between yourselves and Leitrim this weekend. Definitely be a close battle between the two of you. Tara, thanks very much for coming on the podcast this week, and at the very best of luck for the remainder of the campaign. And we might be talking again closer in the summer when championship season kicks off as well.
That's great. Thanks very much for having me.
That is episode 1 of season 2 of our Ladies Gaelic Football Podcast wrapped up and completed. My thanks to Joanne and our new pundit joining us this year in Emma Kelly for joining us for episode number 1. And we look forward to episode number 2 next week. We hope you've enjoyed, and we'll see you next time.